Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for the technical problems we had with our first attempt at a live stream this morning. Hopefully the data path will stay open this time. We are outside Shire Hall in Taunton, where Somerset County Council's Cabinet will be meeting in a little over 40 minutes, around 10 o'clock, to discuss proposals for £15 million of cuts to public services between now and 2020. And as you can see, we've got dozens of protesters lined up outside Shire Hall, where of course the Crown Court is also based, waving placards and chanting in opposition to these cuts. We will be keeping you up to date with how the protest develops, probably over the next 15-20 minutes or so, and we'll just be milling around speaking to a number of people who have turned out today. We've got representatives from the trade unions Unite and Unison. We also have a large number of people from the online group Stop Somerset Cuts, who have turned out, many of them with handmade placards. Some of them did turn up to the scrutiny meeting yesterday, where the cut plans cleared the first hurdle with a couple of minor changes. You can read about that all on our website. And we will, like I say, be keeping you up to speed here with everything that happens outside Shire Hall for the next 15 minutes or so. A number of councillors have already arrived. We can see Councillor Lee Redmond there, Labour Party member and chair of the Children and Family Scrutiny Committee, which meets on Friday. He had very strong words to say about the proposals yesterday. Mike Rigby has also arrived. We have got a number of people, like I say, from various trade unions being interviewed. A lot of media around here today. Tessa Munt, Wells representative, chatting to various people. In fact, I might just see if we can grab a quick word with her once she's finished her conversation. We'll come back to Tessa. We were expecting around 80 people here, based on estimates from a Unite representative I spoke to yesterday, and I think that's a fairly accurate reflection of the numbers we've got here today. We've got representatives from unions in Yeovil and Taunton and Bridgewater, and even slightly further afield. Let's just sort of take you through and see if we can give you an idea of who else has come here. I'm looking around for Nigel Bean from Unite, who has been one of the people instrumental in organising this protest. In fact, I'm just going to see if I can grab a word with Lee Redmond while he's here. Like I say, it is starting to rain here in Taunton, but that doesn't seem to be putting the protesters off too much. Many of them have turned out with Unison emblemed brollies, and it all looks rather stylish. This wave of purple outside the blue council chambers. Neil, could I just grab a word with you? Neil Bloomfield, County Councillor for the Martock area, live on Somerset Live. You were very vocal in the Scrutiny Committee yesterday about your opposition to these cuts. What are you hoping to get out of today?
I think today, in all fairness, this is going to be a rubber stamp exercise. I would be very surprised if the Cabinet listened to a single word Scrutiny said yesterday. There were two issues. One which was proposed by a Conservative member, although I think that might have been an error. So there are two recommendations made to Cabinet, but I really don't think it's going to make a jot of difference. I think my concern is that no matter what happens today, the county will still run out of money and will not balance its budget this year.
Are you? Do you have concerns at all about? I mean, we've got a large number of people out here who are going to be directly affected. I mean, surely if the County Council are going to listen to people when they're this fired up, then what hope is there for people in the Somerset?
I think the problem is the county is now being run as purely as a business, a very hard, cold business, and it's about balancing the budget, and whatever they can cut back and stay within the law, they will cut. And I think yesterday we had a lot of impassioned speeches. I mean, I think the one that's going to affect a lot of people is the CAB, and that's going to be decimated. Its core funding will be decimated. As I say, I think today's going to be very disappointing for a lot of people.
Yeah. Just finally, you did have some strong words to say yesterday. Obviously, you're being live streamed. So, is there any message you would give to the council leader, David Fothergill, and obviously try and keep it as legal as possible?
I think the problem is they've got themselves into this problem now. This council, which is unlike many others, has failed to generate any income for itself. It froze the council tax for years on end. It has no money. It's painted itself right into a corner, and it's got nowhere left to go. But I still don't think what they're doing will go far enough to save the council.
Thanks very much for your time. I'll let you get on. Neil Bloomfield there, Martog representative, member of the Liberal Democrats, former Conservative councillor, but defected to the Lib Dems earlier this year following the publication of the audit report, which is one of the reasons that the council is in this fix in the first place. I'm just going to take us a little further to the door and see if I can grab a word with Nigel Bean from Unite. Nigel, could I have a quick word?
Yeah. A bit disappointed. Yeah, I'll email you. Let you know.
Yes, you can.
Nigel Bean, you were one of the people who helped to put this protest together. Are you impressed by the turnout you've had today?
Well, of course. I mean, Somerset County Council is in a real mess, and it's having an impact on our members and other union members, and it's having an impact on the services they provide and the vulnerable people of Somerset.
Have we got people from all over Somerset here today?
Yes, there's all from different parts of Somerset, and people sending messages of support as well.
So, what are you hoping that this protest will achieve?
Well, first of all, to highlight the problems in local government generally. I mean, it's not just Somerset, but Somerset is at the pinnacle of all the problems in local government funding at the moment.
Are you confident that you can change the council's mind over any of the issues that were discussed yesterday? Bear in mind the two proposals that were put forward to soften the blow, as it were.
Well, that's a difficult one to say. I mean, we should always be confident, but you've got to keep putting pressure on them. You have to keep putting pressure on them, and the local community and the local electors and residents need to put pressure on them because of the actual impact it's going to have on vulnerable children and adults.
Okay, I think if you could sort of lead me down to the protest, we'll try and speak to a couple more people before we head in today. We've already got members of the public queuing to go through security.
Would you like to speak to...
Yeah, I'd love the opportunity to speak. How are you?
How are you? Could you introduce yourself for the live stream? You're live on Somerset Live.
I'm Steve Preddy. I'm Acting Regional Secretary for Unite the Union in the South West.
So you've come all the way down from Bristol just to be here today.
I have indeed, yes.
And how do you feel about what you're seeing before you and how it's unfolding in Somerset?
Well, it's a great turnout, and the savagery of these cuts is clearly striking home across the entire county. You can tell by the turnout here today that people are deeply concerned, because these cuts will undoubtedly affect the most vulnerable in our society, the young children, young people's services, and that's totally unacceptable. And here we have a quango of 8 people making decisions that's going to affect tens of thousands. It's absolutely outrageous and not acceptable.
There was a motion that was put forward to delay the decision and have an emergency full council meeting. Are you confident that that could go ahead?
Well, it must go ahead. If they have any countenance for the rule of democracy at all in this county, they have to give way to public opinion and ensure that we get a full council debate on these issues.
And regardless of which way the decisions go today, what are organisations like Unite and Unison going to be doing to support people who are going to be hit by this, whether they are council employees or the people who use frontline services?
We will do everything necessary and within the parameters of the law to support our members whose jobs are at risk, but most importantly, those people whose services are at risk as a result of these proposed cuts.
Thanks very much for your time.
Very welcome.
Right. Like I say, we have got around 80 people here today. Thank you very much for all your comments on the live stream so far. Yes, we have a number of, like I say, councillors and members of the public who are already queuing up to go through security. Shire Hall is also used as the headquarters for the Crown Court, so everyone has to go through an airport-style scanner. I've already been through there once this morning. Mike Rigby arriving. Councillors have a separate entrance, which we're not allowed to go in. I dare say that if a few more arrive, it may generate a few boos and hisses from the crowd, but we will stick on here for a little bit longer as people queue up to go in. Just have a sort of go through into the middle of the protest.
Do not stick your head above the parapet. Do not do anything.
Good mix of ages here today. It's a lot of young people have turned out, people who are going to be affected. The Get Set service, one of those being cut, or proposed to being cut, we should say. Councillor Amanda Broom, child representative, has turned out in force. All in all, very impressive.
Not really.
Like I say, the drizzle is falling here in Taunton, but People are largely braving the rain. Clinton Rogers from the BBC there. Excuse me, madam. I'm Daniel Mumby, Somerset Live reporter. We're live streaming the protest, so you're currently live on Facebook. Could you introduce yourself and explain why you've turned out here today?
Yeah, I'm Evelyn Ashford. I work on an organisation called Educational Equality, and we defend cases for children with special educational needs in tribunals. So those are cases where the parents have had to go to appeal to fight for funding to support their children. So we're obviously seeing massive cuts and changes in that process lately.
Can you talk a bit about how the cuts are precisely going to impact on the people that you work with?
It's not for our customers, clients. I don't know what you call them, families. It's actually causing enormous problems. Children aren't being supported. So that can mean anything from them, not passing exams to suicide watch. We've got a big increase in mental health cases because they're cutting back on NHS staff, they're cutting back on teaching staff, mostly working with young people with autism who are extremely badly affected by environmental changes, etc. We've got a big increase in local authorities who are breaking the law in all sorts of ways, in terms of small details in cases, up to actually falsifying evidence that we're seeing at the moment. So, which I can evidence. I've been asked about that already.
Yeah, it is a very strong allegation.
It is a very strong allegation, and I'm more than happy to answer it. Thank you.
Okay. How confident are you that you can persuade the council, if not to change their mind completely, then to pause and have a rethink?
I think, unfortunately, this was a placard that we made for a similar demonstration nearly 2 years ago. So I think that the problem is much bigger than local government. It's actually to do with the main government and their lack of care for the most vulnerable in the country.
Thanks very much for your time this morning. Evelyn Ashford there, speaking about children who are going to be hit by these cuts, people at the sharp end of things. Thank you very much again for all your comments, especially to Leanne Larkham, who is unable to be here in person but is sending her support to the protesters. Like I say, some people already started heading in. Council leader David Fothergill has arrived. David Hall, senior cabinet member, are heading in to little reaction from the protesters. Various people just milling around, making their presence felt before they start going through security and heading in. Various other senior officers arriving as well. We've got a number of trade union placards here, Yeovil District being represented, Bridgewater being represented here today, Somerset trade unionists. A number of the placards we saw yesterday have returned. The Stop the Somerset Cuts group, which was protesting outside yesterday's scrutiny committee. A lot of people speaking to protesters about how it's going to affect them, and we'll see if we can have a chat with another couple now. Good morning, sir. I'm Daniel Mumby from Somerset Live. We're live streaming this protest, so you're live on Facebook. Could you introduce yourself and explain why you're here today?
Yeah, I'm Councillor Diego Rodriguez from Bridgewater, Mayor of Bridgewater as well. I'm here to stand up against the cuts that are being proposed because they're diabolical and they're going to hurt so many people in Bridgewater and Somerset. It's just diabolical.
Can you explain a bit more about how Bridgewater is going to be hit by these changes if they go through today?
Well, one of the clear examples is with Citizens Advice Bureau. The cuts that they're going to get is going to stop so many people from using their service, and we know what the sort of service they provide is, is so valuable to so many people. People that need help with bailiffs, housing benefit, most vulnerable people in society are going to be hurt the most, and that's really worrying. When you talk about children's services, in my ward in Bridgewater, there's a youth club called the Roller Coaster. They get some funding from the youth grants that the council provide. That's going to be lost if these proposals go ahead. They can't go without that money. They've been cut enough. It just can't happen.
Is there any scope for town and parish councils in your area sort of stepping in to plug the gap, as it were? We heard yesterday the council talking about the areas that may not be gritted, and therefore then working with parish councils to ensure that they've got sold. Is there anything similar that you can do at your level?
Well, the thing is, county have always, the past 8 years since the cuts, they've just always said, the smaller councils can do it, they can do the work. But we can't always do the work, because then we've also got to increase our taxes. We're already limited to what we can do. Bridgeport Town Council do a lot of what we've got. We stepped in to save the roller coaster from closing down because of the county cuts, and there's only so much we can do. They need to stop passing the buck, they need to stand up and do the thing that's right by the people. Don't make these cuts and don't affect the lives of vulnerable people.
Okay, just final question. If these proposals were not to go ahead, the money's obviously still got to be found. Where would you like to see it come from?
They need to turn around and go back to central government. They spent 7 years not increasing taxes by a small amount. Only by a small amount have made Somerset County Council better off. They haven't done so. They need to go back to the government, stand up straight and stand up and be clear that they are not making these cuts. It's going to affect so many people. Lives could be potentially lost. That's how serious this is. It is horrid. They can't do it.
No.
Thanks very much for your time this morning. Mayor of Bridgewater there, some strong words for the County Council and a strong message for the Prime Minister as well, Theresa May. There were placards outside here yesterday directly asking the Prime Minister for more money for Somerset, and obviously rumblings about whether Somerset would go down the Northamptonshire route of issuing a 114 notice. We've had a number of strict assurances from the Chief Executive, Pat Flaherty, and the leader, David Fothergill, that we are not in that situation. And you heard Neil Bloomfield speaking earlier that he still thinks that the County Council could go bust. Obviously that's his opinion, and we will see how that conversation unfolds as we go into the meeting itself. Well, I'm going to head into the meeting now, ladies and gentlemen.
Don't let the eight decide our fate. 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 Don't let the eight decide our fate.
Melissa, if I could just have a quick word with you. Melissa Whittaker here, representing a number of people from the Chard area who couldn't be here in person.
Yeah, I'm representing people across the county who couldn't be here in person.
Yeah. We've chatted to various people about the impact that the cuts are going to have. The one proposal we haven't really talked about is the proposed unpaid leave over the Christmas period, which could affect all staff. What are your feelings about that?
My personal view is that if you're doing a job, you should get paid for it. Quite simply, they're not volunteers, they're employees, so I don't agree with that. That's quite simple in my mind.
Yeah.
That's your job, you should get paid, and that's it.
Which of the particular cuts are you campaigning against today? What's the particular reason you're here?
I'm here to support Stop Somerset's Cuts group and everybody on board. So we're obviously concerned about transport cuts, subsidised transport being removed, but we're also concerned about loss of support for people with special education needs, disabilities, and also a whole range of issues that have been raised, including removing of the gritting and things like this that will cause safety concerns for people driving, whether you're a pedestrian, a driver or on public transport. It seems like a risk, so a whole range of issues have been raised, so I'm here just to try and raise them all as best as I can.
How confident are you of, if not completely changing the council's mind, then persuading them to rethink on a number of issues?
I would like to believe that we could help them to rethink. I'm not confident that they will make any changes, because in general when they make their mind up they do what they want, but I think we have to believe that they have to listen to what people feel is right and what they need, and I think they also need to understand that if they're going to take things away, that although they may think they're saving money, they're just creating more expenditure further down the road, because if people don't get the support they need early on, like the get set services, it might mean that they need more support when they're older, which will increase possibly even the adult social care bill as they move through life. So they need to be a little bit more mindful of the consequence of the cuts that they're making and how it will affect the families, the children and the community to be fair. So I'd like to believe that they might see that and hopefully change their minds.
Thanks very much for your time this morning. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to leave the protest here. I'm going to head into Shire Hall, take my place in the press gallery. I will be live tweeting the entire meeting from my Twitter handle. It's at Daniel Mumby. That's at Daniel Mumby on Twitter. We're also running a live blog on the Somerset Live website, which is linked in the comment section of this video, and we will be bringing you updates as things develop. It was a long haul yesterday. We didn't get to finish until 5.5 hours of discussion and deliberation. We have a lot of public questions to get through, including, I dare say, a lot from people standing out here. So we will end this live stream for the time being. Join me on Twitter for the remainder of the day's coverage, and thank you for your company this morning.